Well, hello, Dr. Parry. How are you?
Hello, hello.
So I'm excited you're here and another learning guide, number 5. You are number 5 learning guide in our series. And I appreciate you taking this time today to talk to the members of Females in Finance about some of the work. And by the way, if you've not read this fantastic book by my friend here, highly recommend it. It tells a lot of personal stories. I have to tell you, it's an easy peasy read. I think it's just a little over 100 pages, and I think I breezed through it pretty quick. But then I went back, and you're going to laugh because you can see I've totally underlined like all the pages of the
Love
things
it.
in here. And I did refer to you as Brendan Burchard of Financial Services. You're the feel good, Dr. Feel Good on this kind of stuff because you make everybody come with a fresh perspective on how to achieve balance, which and we talked about this on a podcast.
Yeah.
Women, too often, people are asking us, like, how do you achieve work-life balance? And we're like, please don't ask us that question. Like, that's the last
Let's
question.
be real. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what I love about even though you get right direct to the point on it, Travis, is that you are also very big on harmony of everybody's balance is gonna look different. Your balance as the father of 6 plus, because I know you have one coming,
Right.
children is gonna look very different than me, who are all my children. I have 6 children, but 5 of them are grown. Right? So we could say
Absolutely.
number-ish, but a little different in space there. So, excited to have you here today, and I wanna jump right into question number 1 with you. Why should financial service professionals be aware of imbalances in their day? And I think that talking to some of your past expertise in this will also, ring very clear.
Yeah. Two things come to mind. Number one, when you have imbalances, you're going to not be as productive at work as you would be, right? You're going to be not prioritizing the highest things on your list to do. I call it your work sweet spot when you're not in your top 5 activities. And these are not just, how much you're getting paid activities, but these could be activities that you really enjoy doing. They're fulfilling to you. It may be the difference between sitting down with a client and working with them versus filling out an application, right? That's a pretty easy one. Most advisors would rather sit and be with clients, yet they're not outsourcing, delegating, getting rid of those things that are lower priority, not in their top 5 work sweet spot activities. So that's the one. On the two, on the personal side, when you can have that fulfilling moment and that day where you were really productive during your day, then you have more time outside of work to enjoy the things you really want to be doing with your family, exercising, enjoying time with friends. Those things that are super important to you are now more able to actually become reality.
So, I love the fact that you brought that up, and I actually flipped to, and I'm gonna talk about it here in a second with you. I don't wanna steal the thunder just yet because it was something that I knew I needed, but I didn't know I needed. We'll talk about that in a second. But what are some of the ways that financial service professionals are not letting time serve them well? So, my background is in marketing. I have a bunch of awards back there, so I'm a pretty good marketer. And one of the things I was just talking to another service professional this morning for financial services. And I believe that a lot of times people get caught up at doing activities either they really, really enjoy that isn't where their time should be well spent, or they really, really detest because they are just trying to get back. They're trying to sort of fire away. And I think that looks a little bit different. But since you work with financial service professionals on the daily, what are some of the ways that they're letting time sort of, be elusive in their workday?
Such a good question. And I would say to this, I've done the research on this. I've interviewed over 200 financial advisors and pros that work with them. And I find there are really two, really maybe 3 big areas. Email is number one. It always comes up email, email, email. Social media is a typical number 2, if not number 1, kind of bounces around. So email and social media. And then everything compliance and paper related is this number 3 that I've seen. I've seen the research. I've seen it as I've interviewed advisors. And so what happens is we as service providers feel like, well, we need to get back to every single email of every client, as soon as they send it. And that tends to bring a huge pressure to our already overstressed, overburdened day. So what I suggest is to have specific time where you time block returning emails of clients with questions that you need to answer. If it's something you can delegate to an assistant or someone else, then you can automate your systems even in your email, and have assistants even comb through your emails to make sure that you're not being burdened with that. There's all sorts of processes there. And by the way, those that pick up my book at achievingbalancebook.com, I have a 10-minute training on how to master your email. So that's in there, that's included. Number two is the social media. Listen, we're on social media, like everybody's on it all day long. I find clients on social, I connect, and that's good. But if you're on it all day long and there's not a focus, there's not a reason. I have a focus post every single day, throughout the week, one a day, maybe sometimes two if I'm, feeling like there's something that really needs to be shared or said. And then I have a group of people who I'm making sure I'm always replying, posting, commenting on their material. Cheryl's one of them. So I'm always making sure, that we're connecting that way. And because I reach out using social media, I set aside time to then reply to every one of those replies that are interested in doing business with me. If I get caught up in searching stuff on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and all these things, it's typically wasting time. And as we recognize that, you realize that we're probably putting something else off that we should be doing. You can block those sites, you can time out those sites, but probably the best thing that I've done is time block even the social media time. Now, as far as compliance and paperwork, delegate as much as you can. Use systems that will automate your note-taking abilities like rev.com or Otter, or there's a lot of other things that you can be using as a financial advisor too that are, fintech tools that you can utilize that way. Do everything that you can to delegate or automate those parts of your day so that you really can be working in your sweet spot.
And I have to tell you, one of the things that was the hardest thing for me to do, here, I'm going to tell on myself, was turning the notifications off on all my
Yes.
social media apps on my phone.
Everything. And I have all of my emails, all of my no pop-ups. I check email when I want. Same with text, same with every social media. If you time block it out, you go on there and put it in daily, you still connect with everyone, but there's no way in the world you can respond or deal with everything. And if anything,
You cannot.
it just brings more stress when you have those notifications, right? They
It
work.
really does it because it pops up and you think, I have to deal with it.
Yep. I
And
have to
I
know.
will.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other things I've gotten to the habit, so all of you Apple Watch wearers, I see it's gone off already. When I am in an when I'm in an actual meeting that I need to, I take it off because I know it's going to buzz. I turn my phone upside down. I have it off because if I don't, there inside of me says I have to check it. Like, well, what
Yep.
if it's this? What if it's that? And I have to tell you, you're taking your eye off of the prize at the moment and you miss things. And then you're later on going, oh. And I love the fact you brought up Otter. There were a couple of women in the group who were talking about using Otter. Another thing that I have really encouraged is that, and I don't know if you know, you can do this. You can take Google, open up a document, and it could do all your note taking while you're talking.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just right there, and it's great. And it's pretty accurate for a talk to text feature. It's better than your
Well,
Apple phone.
yeah,
I mean, I'm
there's some
just,
great transcription services out there, and one of them I know, Copy Talk. I'll plug
yes.
them. I know Marie at Copy Talk, and
Yeah.
I've
Shout
used
out from
them
Marie.
for years as an advisor myself. Like those are great tools. Transcription services really work. I use a lot of my Zoom calls, and if you're doing Zoom right now, you can actually connect Otter to Zoom,
Yep.
and it will transcribe everything. Zoom also, if you upgrade or if you just quickly did their little update, they have a bunch of apps that are built
Yep.
in now as well. And I know there's some transcription outside of Otter as well. But anyway,
See all these tools? These are
yeah,
great.
there's lots of great fintech tools. There's lots of things that can help you. It's the biggest thing for me is that you're feeling fulfilled at the end of the day. Typically, when you're in 80 to 90% of your top 5 activities, and that doesn't have to be the top grossing, but it could be the most fulfilling or both. And I usually help a lot of advisors figure out what is that for me. And so if you're interested, you're welcome to reach out and we can chat about having that conversation. But sit down, think about what are the most important things I should be doing, prioritize them, and then create a calendar that reflects that and protects that.
So that actually leads into our next question because how do you work with financial service professionals today was a really big one because your entire chapter 10, I feel like in this book was hit home for me about accountability partners and what that can look like today. But talk to everyone about the work that you're doing specifically in how you're holding and not just helping advisors get there because you gave some really good suggestions, but along the way, right? The little benchmarks, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Accountability is huge for all of us. Once we have a system in place that allows us to follow our work sweet spot so we can balance outside of it and have time outside, it really is an ideal calendar. And you protect your ideal calendar, as I mentioned just briefly, by processing. Processing is step by step, it's 3 or 4 steps where you decide every day those things that are trying to take your time, what I do with this. And then, yeah, in the book, I outline that processing activity and tell you exactly what to do. But after that, once you have this built, staying accountable is huge because I've seen so many people that have a time management system. I've actually come in and helped them rearrange their entire office, everything on their computer, put systems in place with them, only to 90 days later come back to find out that they've fallen off the wagon. So I really spent and researched a lot of my time. I went back and did a PhD, even at that level, to understand accountability, goal achievement. And I found that most of this happens with our own relationships, our own spouses. They don't have to be working with us right here, but they can help keep us accountable for our ideal calendar. And for me, what I suggest is talking with your spouse once a week and making sure that your calendars are lining up, your schedules are where they should be, and talking about your goals together. Because as we know, work is typically not number one on our list, even though we spend a lot of time doing it. We want health, we want wellness, we want to be able to be with the people that we love, our family, our friends, etc., and have great experiences, travel, and all these things. It's all outside of work. So if we lose focus and we slide into what I call the workaholic trap, where the work becomes justification to get there, and we're working 80 hours a week and we're overstressed and overworked, we're not really going to have that balance in our life, and we feel it. It's just something we feel. So keep that top of mind. Have accountability partners. If you're not married, it might be a friend, a coworker, and obviously you think, well, Travis, you're a coach, you work with people, you help them keep them accountable. I do, but my process is very different. I don't intend to coach you forever. I intend to coach individuals and help them with their spouses to become accountable so that they don't need me anymore. They take the system, become accountable to each other, and off they go, riding into the sunset happily ever after, to never fall back into this workaholic trap.
And that really is more of a you take almost professional development to the personal development level. We talked about this before, which is what I love about you, because I think oftentimes we see people come in and they say professionally, oh, clean up this. But what I love is that you bring significant others of people into their lives to say, what is it that what do you want from need for me or want for me? What do I want and need for me? And I'm really curious. I've never asked you this question, so forgive me for putting you on the spot. But how often
Okay.
are financial service professionals saying to you, "I want more time with my family"?
All the time. And I've done this since 2008. I think I've asked this question. I've had people prioritize all 10 areas of their life, and family, spouse, and usually health in some form or fashion. Those are the top 2 or 3 that show up at the top of the list.
Yeah.
I've never actually worked with a married client who said career, he or she said career is number one. Never, never. And I've my last speech that I gave, I had the entire crowd stand up depending on what their top priority was. And the number one that I found was spiritual health, and number two, physical health.
Yeah.
Career was as a distant 5 or 6. So
Yeah, it's just what we have to do to get to where we're at, right? And so I
precisely,
think
that's it. Mhm.
Exactly. I love it. So I want everyone to feel welcome to reach out to Dr. Perry. He's extremely accessible, always very timely in getting back. And I'm grateful that he's a part of our community. We have his email address up here, Travis at maketimeinstitute.com. And, he will talk to you not just about work life balance, but all the jazz in between. Highly recommend this book.
Thank you.
Read this book if you've not. Easy peasy read, but you tell some really good stories about your family, how you got to where you're at, and why you continue to do the work you do today. And this has just been a blessing to have you here with us. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks, Cheryl. And everybody, you can get the book at achievingbalancebook.com. And there's a ton of bonuses, a bunch of freebie stuff that go with it. They're way worth your time.
Yeah. And travisperry.com as well. And we'll make certain all of those are on your contact page here on the
Awesome.
Learning Guide. All right. You're the
Thanks,
best.
Cheryl.
Thanks.